What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Couple Things.
With Shawn and Andrew.
Podcast all about couples.
And the things they go through.
This one's a little bit different. So we're going to piece this together because Andrew and I got to do like this cool keynote moderated speech at Owen Business School.
That's right. I went to Vanderbilt for undergrad and graduate school. So I went to business school there. And they invited me back for what they called a distinguished speaker series to speak to the current students.
You are distinguished, babe.
Well, I talk about that because I got a good giggle out of that about that because I don't even know how I ended up getting accepted into that. But
we were sitting there with the dean, okay? It was a big deal.
It was an honor, to be
Stop
honest.
trying to degrade yourself, Andrew.
We wanted to share this with you, though, because we thought it was, kind of a peek into our history. And I thought we shared some things that we haven't normally, just kind of about our business from a high level. So we wanted to share it. We thought you may enjoy it. This is definitely a different episode. It's us getting interviewed. But maybe there's some good stuff in there.
I actually thought it was really cool. Most of the people who were there, who had questions, who wanted us to speak, were there because they wanted to be able to be business people and family people as well.
Yeah.
They wanted to know how to do both and keep their priorities straight, but actually still pursue their dreams. And I thought that was really cool. The dean actually had a conversation with me. He's like, there's this misconception, and I totally agree. I could go on a total rant about it, of like needing to give up everything in your life in order to do business. And he said, that's just wrong. You can do both. You just have to find the balance.
Yeah. I'm really thankful for our setup. Shawn and I work together 24/7. We're together 24/7. And it's really fun. But my dissertation topic that I'm working on now and chugging along, kind of chipping away at, is all about this idea that I think when you have these self-imposed boundaries of prioritizing certain things, so I think for most people they have family as a stated priority. Not everybody lives that out, but when you have that, it kind of aligns everything and focuses you in a really powerful way that I think has positive business outcomes too. So anyway, more on that later, but the next couple of weeks are gonna be fun. We're doing an interview with Drew, and we're doing marriage myths, and yeah, so if you want to stay tuned for all that, then subscribe, give the show a rating, and we hope you enjoy this, us being interviewed
with Shawn and Andrew.
It's great to be up here, and it's interesting, right? You talked about it earlier in our lunch about how you're in this space, and we don't often talk about the intersection of family, business, sports, right? And then social media on top of that, right? At it intersects. So I think for me, that's we're going to get right to it, right? You guys have 3 kids.
Yes.
I have 2. It's a constant balance. And like, you've been in the limelight for the better part of your life. Like, how are you balancing family, sports, business, working together every single day, every hour of the day, and your business partners, and you're still married?
And she still likes me, right?
A lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do. Can I just start by saying it's an honor to be here. It's hilarious to me that what the committee's called Distinguished Speaker Series. If y'all knew how I got into this school, I mean, so I was a 2015 graduate of Owen, squeaked by. I think my application slid in through the back door. Don't know how they let me in. I don't know how I graduated, but now here we are. And, things have changed. You got nice new upgrades. The paper stock is just quality here. I don't know what that is. High quality paper. Didn't have it here. And I think Professor Pace is here too. Maybe.
Yeah.
Grading me on my presentation skills. Oh, no. Anyway, and Mario, actually, I interviewed to be his intern when I was here, and he declined my so it's good to be here, Mario.
So good.
Back to the question.
Yeah.
You want me to? How does it all intersect? How do we balance it all? I have no idea. Yeah. But I would say it's just been a long journey of trying to figure it out and figure it out in a very, very messy way. We have figured out everything that doesn't work. Like, straight up, we have failed a million times. We have gone months and years and turned around and said, yeah, that didn't work at all. And we've just kind of found our lanes and figured out what our priorities are. We overanalyze our life in a very, very detailed way very often. We have a lot of like planned meetings between each other, and we'll bring in consultants, and we'll bring in family counselors, and we'll bring in mentors where we truly dissect our life and try to figure out how can we do this better to not only protect our marriage, but to protect our children and protect our family, optimize our business, optimize our life to where we can do all of that in a seamless way. And we do that probably on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, annually basis. And it just never stops. We're just constantly trying to do it better. But it's asking ourselves every single night, are we good? Is the business good? Did we work too much today? We could have been with the kids more today. I felt like I need more of this tomorrow. But we do that every single day. So,
yeah. The saying, work smarter, not harder. We don't do that. That's not us. Doesn't apply to us. We have tried and failed. And I think if there's anything that we've done well, it is making room for reflection and then adjusting future course based off of that. And I'm super thankful for Shawn's role in that. I think as we've done this longer and been married longer, I've really appreciated our difference in perspectives, which I think once caused a lot of frustration. Now it's like, oh my gosh, this is so needed, because I come from one side of the fence, she comes from the other, and it's actually the compromise that makes it the best. And I think it ebbs and flows. So I feel like in my 20s, I had this ravenous ambition, almost out of like desperation to prove myself or something. I was graduated from Owen and then tried to play football in the NFL. I got signed and cut, was with 9 different teams. And it was like, I don't know. I got to prove to myself and to other people that I'm worth something. And then, I guess time goes on and you settle into doing something. And I think now in my 30s, our priorities are less of the career side of things and more on like, oh man, we have 3 young kids and these first 5 years are precious and we'll never get them back. And so I think we've balanced by just constantly adjusting, reflecting, adjusting, and doing that time after time.
I love it. And it reminds me, for those of you that are in my entrepreneurship class, we keep going back to this, right? About the need to fail small, fail fast. And then the reflection component of it, of how critical it is to come back. So it sounds like you guys are managing your life like you would a business, because your life is your business. And so when you look at the priority list, right, if you're saying it's a weekly sprint, it's a monthly, right, it's a quarterly meet, what goes first? What's the most important on that list when you sit down as business partners and you say, here's our calendar and here are the events and things that are the most important to us? What are the top first, second, and third things on that list?
Our personal family, whenever we're breaking it down for like prioritizing time, it goes church, us, our kids, and then work. I think actually community and friends comes before work. To give you like an overview of something we did, when's the first time we did the yearly thing? 6 years ago?
2018.
In 2018, we were bouncing around the NFL and kind of like aimless. We were doing our job now, but we sat down around the beginning of the year. We categorized our life into 12 different categories, like faith, family, friends, personal, work, all these different things. And basically, independently of each other, wrote down exactly what we wanted from our life, like crossing the finish line, what we wanted to do for the rest of our lives, and what we wanted it to look like in specific detail. And it was really interesting that year. We shared it with each other and kind of came up with a married version. It looked drastically different than our life at the time. Like the life we were living looked nothing like what we wanted. And it was really eye-opening for us because we were working really, really hard, but we were just headed the wrong direction. And ever since then, we do that every single year. We go back to the drawing board. And it's really cool. Every year we will go back to it. And it's like we're living the exact life that we want. And there's really not much to change or tweak. But we kind of schedule out our entire year to reflect exactly where we want to be in a year, 5 years, 10 years. And it's, let's prioritize our faith, let's prioritize our marriage, then our kids, then our community, and then work whatever time is left.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of time for work. You're a workaholic.
A lot.
He is a workaholic.
A lot.
He squeezes it in whenever he can.
I do. I love what we do, and that's been it's a challenge to try to check that. And we were talking a little bit at lunch, just like setting a cap or like defining what's enough, and then making room for the other things in your life. We do try to quantify everything, much to Shawn's chagrin. It's like I'm wearing wearables. I got blood sugar. I'm like tracking how many times I meet with this person or that person. Like when we go through those 12 things, I think we have 150 different data points that we'll pull of all different aspects of life, which is, I think at the beginning was super helpful just to get visibility on those things and say, holy smokes, I traveled 60 nights that year and I need to do less. That was too much. So it's like identifying what the historical reality was and then adjusting up or down from there. And to Shawn's point, like, I think I've tracked the specific metrics less as time has gone on because we've gotten closer and closer to where we want to be. And it's like, yeah, this is it. But yeah, it's good.
You know, Shawn, when I was little, I remember looking at paper maps and having an interest in where every country was located. I want this same curiosity for our kids because it genuinely made me want to learn more about geography.
I agree. I love fueling our kids' curiosity with toys that actually stimulate their brain, which is why we love Kiwi Co.
Listen, Kiwi Co recently launched Kiwi Co Clubs to engage kids on a journey of seriously fun learning, and our kids have been having a blast with this.
With Kiwi Co Clubs, kids learn the fundamentals through hands-on projects and also build new skills. It's amazing. Our kids were engineering their own robots the other day, and it literally blew me away.
Drew recently did the science club and made her own bow and arrow through their archery lesson. Honestly, it was really well thought out and simple enough for her to understand. She's wanting to do the art club next.
I don't blame her. As a parent, it can be hard to find creative ways to keep your kids engaged off screens, but Kiwi Co does the legwork for you so you can spend quality time tackling projects as a family.
Tinker, create, and innovate with Kiwi Co. Get up to 50% off your first crate at kiwico.com, promo code COUPLE. That's 50% off your first crate at kiwico.com, promo code COUPLE.
Let's get back to it.
Let's talk about Family Made. Like, what was the inspiration, right? You've talked about it. It's interesting, right? People know, your story very well. And so I think you said you were like 12 when you signed your first contract, right? So you're a lawyer. You have a couple MBAs. You probably have a couple doctorates given the life that you've led in the limelight. But you were the inspiration on kind of the YouTube and like videos. And so tell us like why Family Made. How are you inspired to say this is what we want to do? And what is it?
What is it? That's a great question. I still don't know if we got the elevator pitch down.
You could still get your MBA.
Yeah, someday. Chasing 3 babies around. We fell into content creation. Literally overnight, fell into it. And I don't know how and I don't know why, but we, by nature, document everything in our life. We do a lot of home videos. If you were to have met Andrew's father, that was his passion in life, was just documenting family life and sitting around the fire and watching family videos. That's what we always did as a family. And it got passed on. So Andrew documented everything in our life. And we would always make family videos. And we started posting them to YouTube in 2015. And Andrew's mind saw a world of analytics and data points and profitability opportunities and optimizing views and building a community that is not my business. I don't do that. But I also came from a sports entertainment world where I signed my first contract at 12 and I learned how to be the voice of companies. I learned marketing. I learned campaigns, commercializing, selling product. I knew how to do that. That's what people signed me to do. I represented Coca-Cola at the Olympics and McDonald's, and I could get you to buy a Big Mac. And so I kind of learned the ins and outs of that world. And over a long process of kind of figuring content creation out, we looked around after we said, we're actually a full-time marketing, broadcasting, production company. That's what we do. And
any company can come to us and say, I want to sell Bounty paper towels. And we can tell you exactly how to film the commercial, market it, sell it, advertise it. We can build your community behind it. We can build your branding. And we got really, really good at that. And so we created Family Made, which basically does that, but for families, for values-based, moral-based families. Because there's a lot of content out there that is polarizing, vulgar, and kind of separates the world, but families bring the world together. So now that we have 3 babies, we said, let's at least harness our capabilities and what we've learned to do some good, by posting cringy videos.
What's the cringiest you've ever posted?
One of the slime videos for sure. Yeah. We got caught up in trying to do all the trend videos. So slime, it was, I don't know, what was in that? Oh, we tried to do like
just created slime.
Yeah,
and we failed.
Remember the Game Master videos where we orchestrated this whole?
You
did not.
Don't ever look. Don't.
Yeah.
But look, because like you have this brand as a football player, NFL, gymnast, Olympian, and so you have these personal brands. You brought them together through this marriage, and now you're leveraging them, and like what you put out there never goes away.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you one, think about the path that you took, looking at your brands, bringing these 2 powerful brands together into a family, and then also the question after that at any point that you want to answer is like, all of us now have a brand that's out there. Any of us that are on social media, it's been created. And so what advice do you have for people that, how do they leverage their brand if they want to leverage their brand for the business side? And what did you do when you brought those together, when you think about your personal brand?
I think there's so much power in storytelling. And I think you're constantly telling stories, consciously or not, explicitly or not. It's like, what you wear tells stories, how you interact with somebody tells a story. And then obviously your words do as well. I think social media has been phenomenal for those people who have told stories intentionally and thoughtfully, and it's done some damage and had some carnage as well. It's been so fun that Shawn has 20 years. She's been in the public eye for 20 years. She has 20 years of people having the ability to connect with her story through gymnastics, TV shows, her education process now with the family and even dating and marriage when we were doing that. And so I think just being aware that you are telling a story and then figuring out how your story is unique, what you want to accomplish with that. We reached a point, back to the Family Made origination, where I think it's unique in our space. A lot of people in our niche are like 18-year-old TikTokers, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't have a team. They don't feel like they can creatively relax their controls to let an editor, chop up their videos. And so I think we've been able to do that in a way that we wanted to help other people do. And so we created a media network, and it helps people thoughtfully tell their story. We realized that our story of dating, marriage, and raising kids is so unique. Yeah. And there's millions of other stories out there, stories of adoption and struggle and blended family, whatever that looks like. And so how can we actually use our skills and the team that we've been able to build to help get that other message out there? Because we've experienced so much amazing benefits and feedback when we get emails and DMs of people saying like, hey, my marriage was in a tough spot, and then we listened to your podcast and it like changed the game for us. Or I felt so lonely as a mom, and then we saw your goofy video and it like really brought back hope to me. And it's like, that's what we're trying to do. We want to speak to that mom who has 5 minutes between nap time, and they're too exhausted to make a call or go out and do anything else, and they don't have enough time to accomplish, whatever task. And it's like, they're probably going to open Instagram, and if we can be the video that they see and it brings a smile to their face or brings a thought that they might not otherwise have, then it's mission accomplished,
And so you're intentional about that, right? And like Family Made, you're also intentional about attracting all types of relationships, all types of families. And so when you think about that, right, why is that important to you? Because you could say that, it could be niche, right, in what you're doing, but you really want to be able to be that source of hope for families across a whole spectrum.
Yeah.
Do you want me to answer?
Yeah, you got it.
We've kind of bounced all over the place in like markets when it came to social content creation. We did slime. Yeah. We did game shows. We did everything. Because we went through a very long period of time where it started out for fun and for a passion, then it became a job. And when it became a job, we wanted it to do well. We wanted to make a lot of money. And we would look at everything and say, what's making the most money? Slime videos. Literally go home and make slime. That's it.
Does anybody know what we're talking about when we say like?
Do you know what slime is?
It's like a tutorial of how to make like
you literally just
slime.
Make slime, which we
crushed.
failed to do.
We were the worst
on the video.
Oh, man.
And through that process, we failed at it. We didn't connect with people. It just didn't work. We did not make a lot of money doing it. And then, not to get into a somber story, but we found out we were pregnant. We literally started documenting the storytelling of that for us. That was not content we would ever have shared with the world. That was way too vulnerable and raw. Lost that pregnancy, which was very shocking and kind of rocked our world, and created this video for us to heal through. I felt compelled to post to that because I felt very lost and I didn't know how to even communicate with my husband, let alone anyone else. Posted that thinking, truly, nobody would watch it. And it took off. And it was the very first time in our business that we had ever seen social media and the internet as a two-way street and not a one-way. Instead of serving content, we were actually communicating with people. And I sat there for days crying, communicating with strangers from all over the world who had gone through the same thing. And so when we created Family Made, it was very simple for us. It was like family is family, and it binds you to people all over the world in so many different ways. And we could create it to be so much more niche than that. But why? It just seemed too important. So we wanted to keep it wide open.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
This month, we're focusing on gratitude, and I just want to say, Shawn, thank you for simply being you and being the incredible wife and mom you are. It's been an amazing year, and I feel like we've grown so much.
That's really sweet, babe. Thank you. I think you also need to remember to thank yourself, too, because you do so much for our family and business that many people don't realize.
Wow. I appreciate that, babe. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we are all out here just trying our best. So consider this your reminder to send some thanks to the people in your life, including yourself. Another thing I'm thankful for, frankly, is therapy that we've done this year. Shawn and I are open about our journey with marriage counseling, and we would recommend it to anybody.
BetterHelp is a great option if you're looking to give therapy a try. You just fill out a brief survey to get matched with a licensed therapist and can switch anytime if it's not a good fit for you for no extra charge. And it's all online, which is really helpful for us when we have a lot of travel on the calendar.
Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/EastFam today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/EastFam.
I appreciate it. I remember watching those videos, and, I think it's unfortunate, the reality, right? So many of us lose children. And so my wife and I lost a child, and it's one of those that you don't talk about. Mm-hmm. And so it's very much appreciate the fact that that was one place where we can all agree on, right? And that unfortunate grief. So from the other side of it, we very much appreciated seeing that in such a public eye, to be able to engage in it and at least try to get past it on our own. So thank you for that one.
Thank you.
Yeah. What else are we going to do? Like, what else? What other? I know you guys have a bunch of ideas, right? What are you going to do? What else do you want to do with Family Made? What other ideas are up your sleeve? What's next?
A lot.
We were dead set on building a media network like Barstool Sports or the Ramsey or Daily Wire. Let's build something that we can exit, because there is something satisfying when the market says this is a valuable thing.
Yeah.
And so that was our intention up until we had our third kid, and we were just trying to hum along at the same RPMs. And then we hit a wall, and we had to take a step back and start pruning things. There's a book by Henry Cloud called Necessary Endings, and it was like really challenging. It essentially said, hey, what are your priorities? And what do you need to prune to keep those priorities? And so I think I am so much a starter. I love like tinkering and experimenting, and I'll launch things. Like, I am not a perfectionist. It's a great quality I have. I remember, and it's also the worst quality I have.
Tell them a couple of them.
Yes, please.
I remember, gosh, I was like, we need monthly recurring revenue. Sweet. Okay. Let's do a subscription box. Great. This is a good idea, Andrew. This is all happening like within a 5-second period. I said, all right, I'm going to build the website. We're going to launch it. We're going to introduce it to our millions of people. I did.
Yeah.
I like built this whole thing.
It's all we.
Built the whole thing. I launched it that night. And it was like, we got like 10,000 people that subscribed to this subscription box.
They bought orders.
There was nothing to put in the subscription box. I didn't think through it that much. And then so I told Shawn the next day, I said, babe, we did it.
And I was like, you're refunding every single one of these.
Oh, I made so many mistakes.
What was going to be in the box?
Oh, no.
He doesn't know.
It was a great concept. I retroactively thought through it.
You didn't even tell me. I just found you going around the house trying to find things to put in boxes. And I was like, this isn't going to work.
All right. Anyway, so.
He also, his claim to fame within our business and our company, which is everyone knows when Andrew gets an idea, it's like, you better buckle up because this thing is going to be launched in 24 hours. And it's just it's a running thing, and it happens all the time. But we gave birth to our first kid, Drew, our daughter, and the next day, without telling me, he launched a podcast. Our podcast. And it charted at number 1 with no podcasts. 2 more days go by, and he starts panicking. And he comes to me, and he's like, babe, I did a thing. We got to record a podcast. And I was like, what is this about? It's now like our favorite thing that we do. So it's held, but you launch a lot of things.
Mistakes were made. Anyway, back to your, what's next? I think we have right-sized our ambition very much. And I do love starting things, and I realize that this might not be the phase for that, though. So we're going to shelf that for a little bit and just focus on the things that we know work, and that's enough for us. We went through this whole like Pareto's principle, the 80-20. It's like we're just spending so much of our time for so little reward. It's like, why are we doing that? So just having the discipline to stay on the straight and narrow is what we're trying to focus on now.
Only one. All right, you can only choose one. When you think about your relationship, and not many people can do this because it's very unique, right? And so you're public figures, you have this business, you're working together, you have 3 kids. What's kept? Especially when we're talking about the Owen Partners Association, right? Where most of us here have partners, and we're going through this phase in our life. When you think about your marriage, right? Just the 2 of you, what's the one thing that's kept it going? Three, 2, 1, go.
I would say 1, I just love you to death, which is really fun. But we have a lot of fun. We, at the end of the day, laugh off these massive fails, even though they cause arguments. But we have a lot of fun. So.
Yeah. I think embracing the concept of team in our marriage and family has kept it going. We're a pretty good team, and I'm thankful for that. And that goes for in the house, outside the house, all the things. So, yeah.
Love it. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. I'll leave it at that because I think we have a bunch of questions that are going to come out of this. So unless you all want to say something before. All right, let's do it. Let's open it up to
questions, Mario. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
If there are any.
What do we got?
You guys already know that Shawn and I are huge fans of AG1, and that's because this is a brand we've been using and loving for several years.
It's definitely part of our daily routine, and it's important to us that the supplements we take are the highest quality, which is why we've been drinking AG1 for so long. Unlike many supplement brands, AG1 is researched and developed by an in-house team of scientists, doctors, and nutritionists with decades of experience in their respective fields.
I know I can trust what's in every scoop of AG1 because it's tested for 950 contaminants and banned substances. 950.
Wow.
The industry standard typically only tests for 10.
What?
Pretty crazy to think about.
That is. Taking care of our health shouldn't be complicated. And AG1 simplifies this by covering our nutritional bases and setting us up for success in just 60 seconds a day.
I love that AG1's ingredients are heavily researched for quality, and every scoop also includes prebiotics, probiotics, and digestive enzymes for gut support.
Replace your multivitamin and more with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first subscription at drinkag1.com/couplethings.
That's drinkag1.com/couplethings. Check it out.
I'm curious to hear a little bit more about how extended family plays into your lives and what's going on, and how you balance maybe accepting input from family, and how you balance appreciating that input with choosing your own path and being confident. Like, that's too long.
Wow. There's levels to that question.
So many. We kind of paved our own way. I don't think our extended family maybe still doesn't understand what we do.
My mom was not pumped when we started publishing stuff online. She's very private, very quiet, and she was very reticent, still to this day, of what we do. I've said many apologies. Shawn's an only child, so I feel like mostly my family that gives input. But I've said many apologies for all the nonsense that our videos create, as far as like whatever people saying, "Oh my gosh, you're Shawn Johnson's brother-in-law," whatever. But then we definitely have our own nuclear family unit, and then I am super thankful and have really spent quite a lot of time over the past couple months digging into the extended family. To Shawn's earlier comment about how my dad was huge on home videos, my grandfather also was. So there's videos of my dad being born at the hospital. There's videos of me being born at the hospital. I have a lot of thoughts on how, like, I used to try to think I was some novel creation. I was like, there's never been an Andrew East, and I like CrossFit, and I like YouTube, and it's like my grandpa used to wake up every day and do 15 minutes on the Schwinn bike, and that's pretty much what CrossFit is. It's like this old thing, and it's like I like to film and make videos, and that's what my dad did, that's what my grandpa liked. So it's like, looking back actually does help. But I think every voice has merit and every voice is valuable. I think there's tiers to it though, so I value Shawn's input more than my siblings now at this point. I think that's the way it should be. But yeah, thanks for the question.
You guys were listing out your priorities. Both pretty confidently put your marriage above children, which is not an insane concept like it's been spoken about before. But I was wondering if you guys have ever kind of struggled with that concept, or kind of struggled with wrapping your mind around it, and then also how you guys actually do that, how you prioritize your marriage, kind of at that level to keep your relationship healthy for your children.
You struggled with it more, for sure.
I think moms have a hard time after we have kids of maintaining that priority, because your identity changes massively when you have kids, and trying to allow enough space to remember that our priority list goes spouse first, then kids, is sometimes difficult for a mom. But something Andrew and I agreed on before we had kids is we are only as good parents as we are as spouses. So if our marriage isn't good, we can't parent well. And if I lose my best friend and teammate as my number one to my child, then the whole dynamic of our family is off. And I'll never forget, like, leaving the hospital with my daughter and thinking, like, I was terrified that I might lose my best friend to her, if that makes sense. And so we have just really worked on keeping a pact of, you are my number one no matter what, and our kids come after that. And they have to for our family and for our family dynamic. So just kind of reminding each other. And then how we do that, we were talking about this during the lunch. We started when we got pregnant with our daughter, our oldest. Every single Thursday night is date night. Tonight.
Date night.
Yeah. And no matter if we're in an argument, no matter what happens that week, we have date night on Thursdays. And we have gone to date nights where we barely speak, but we go on date nights. And it's just to show each other that we are still each other's number one priority.
It's the little things too. Like we'll put the kids down, and then usually it's around 7:30 that process is done. And there was a solid period of time where one of us would come down and the other one was on the phone, and it doesn't feel very welcoming or hospitable. You know, like this concept of, I was thinking of you before you arrived. And so we came up with this Bev time is what we called it, where we used to drink wine. We don't anymore because we go to bed 8 now. But it's like when the kids go down and the last person comes down the stairs, it's like, hey, let's greet each other with eye contact, make each other feel welcomed and like warm. And then we have anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour of like connecting, debriefing. And so it's just like we try to make room for connection. Don't always do it though.
We talked about that. Right? That's all you get, like 30 minutes an hour when you have kids. That's it. And you got to be intentional about that time, or intentional to not spend it together and say, like, I need this night off.
Yeah.
To go lay down in bed without you talking to me. So date night, Thursday night, right? It's business school Friday, so closing bell.
Oh. Let's go. Are we still doing it like that?
Oh, yeah.
We got the kegs and everything?
No more kegs.
then no more kegs and bell.
What
happened to kegs? Does everybody know about that here?
There might be kegs tonight. See?
Okay. Well,
yes, there you go.
This could change our plans.
And we have a lot of non-alcoholic options, so.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. But we are having kegs, so kegs is back.
I used to pride myself on how spontaneous I was. If you knew Andrew circa 2012, I literally had dreadlocks, wearing a poncho, like one shirt in my closet, and then I met Shawn. So gotta button it up. You know,
you went to Vandy. That wasn't me. You went from that to collared shirts and Sperry shoes.
Okay. Yeah. I think I would rather skew towards being structured and regimented now with how our life looks with 3 kids and a marriage I want to protect than leaning on spontaneity. I used to love the fun, just like footloose and fancy free, take a 12-hour road trip at the drop of a hat, whatever. But I think I realized more often than not, I would tend to, when I had free time, use it poorly. It's like, hey, I'm just going to lay down on the couch for a little bit, or I'm going to open up Instagram. And so now we try to keep a pretty full schedule of things that mean a lot to us. Try not to be like hectic busy, but we try to fill our schedule with intentional things that get us closer to like what we want our life to look like. Friends, business. We even structure in like Sundays rest day, and we have our list of things that we love doing on that day. So we're pretty regimented, and I think that's the way it's going to be for the next couple of years until the next chapter of life comes along.
I agree.
Tom, our dean, in our lunch mentioned as he got further on in his career, like planning months in advance, right? putting that dinner, putting that vacation on the calendar, booking it 6 months out, because it forces you to do it. You don't have to think about it anymore. And so I think that's one other piece is you get so busy, right? Stay on the kind of Outlook calendar craziness and just book your vacations with your partner far in advance and make sure that you commit to doing it, because by the time you get there, there's no opportunity to change it and just do it.
I also think it makes it more enjoyable when you have the anticipation.
Yeah.
Like people talk about vacations, it's like the weeks ahead of the actual vacation are just as enjoyable and exciting as the actual thing. It's like, I don't know. There's a difference between mindlessly just sitting down on the couch and scrolling through Netflix to see what's watching or like what you can't watch, and buying a movie ticket weeks in advance because you're excited to see that. It's like the anticipation is a real thing, and actually it means a lot, and that goes to all areas of life.
Yeah.
That's just a bit being a family business for y'all. How do y'all all navigate your disagreements with work and preventing that from creeping in? And obviously, whenever some people don't want them.
What's a disagreement? I don't even know what that is. do we do that thing? What's he saying?
Oh, I don't know. We've never had an argument. We've actually brought in professionals to help with that. We've brought in consultants over our business, and like we've tried hiring like CEOs to like literally be our bosses, and none of it worked. But I would say we've just kind of learned how, we spoke of this at lunch, to like own our lanes. And we did this 3-day intensive it was called the Patterson House, where they really helped us like discern what our roles are and like what we're good at and what to own within our business and what to own within our home, so that as life gets busier with kids and you have less room to waste and time to waste, whenever he makes a decision or I make a decision within our own lanes, I'm like, okay, I respect that. That's on you. That's your thing. I can present maybe a challenge to it if I want, but that is yours. So I'm just going to hands off. But if we cross each other's lines and I try to get into his lane or vice versa, then we usually say, okay, we need to speak as business partners right now and figure this out. Or we also try to have like very clear boundaries as far as work. We work in an office. If we're in an office, it's clearly business partners. If we're at home, I will even ask each other, like, are you working or is this my husband? Like, can I ask you a question now? So we try to just respect boundaries that way, but
humility goes a long way.
That too.
What was in one of the boxes?
What was in one of the boxes?
Yeah, so I started immediately panicking, reaching out to companies, and it was a pretty good box. I think we had some snacks in there. Yeah, it's mostly food. I guess my own personal interest of food.
Yeah.
So.
For some reason, I thought when you said he was running around the house, I thought he was like putting in like home items. I would have bought into that.
Just like a
How about this vase in the box?
So other than being completely blindsided with respect to the podcast, what's been the most challenging aspect?
With the podcast? Yeah.
I'm interested to hear your answer. I love what we do. It's still a job. It's like, I think I saw stats. There's 7 million podcasts, and I think only 500,000 of those have published more than 10 episodes, and I think only 200,000 of those do video, and I think only 150,000 have over 100 episodes. So it's like part of the game is like just doing it over and over and over and over again. And so there's the dread of like, we got to film another podcast, or we've published 23,000 videos in 8 years. And it's like, it's a lot, it's like, what are we going to freaking film a video on? It's like, so I think part of it's a creative exhaustion that you get. But.
Yeah, I was going to say like content. You run out of ideas and you fail to be creative. But I'd say that's the hardest part. I think we've kind of figured out everything else, how to do it, how to shoot it, how to edit and market and put out. But the content is the hardest.
Random question. Do you ever feel like you're living the Truman Show?
Yeah.
Like we're just in a podcast, walking around the house and like, is this real?
Yeah, a lot. Do you?
Your life is way weirder than mine. Shawn will like sneeze and be like, Shawn headline of People magazine. It's like, what the heck? People freaking love Shawn.
It is weird.
It's crazy. I think it's been good. Not good.
Yeah, it's also interesting. We've also created so many boundaries around what we post that it all is authentic and it all is real. But we have figured out our system so much that it feels somehow so detached from our life that it doesn't really feel like our life anymore. I don't know.
It's all real, but it's not everything. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, about content. Like, how do you, in boundaries, how do you make sure that what you post is not like susceptible to like cancel culture? Because that's such a big thing. And I know friends who then definitely got me in trouble for that recently.
Wow.
So like, how do you?
Let's talk about that.
How do you review your content?
Shawn's the system.
Yeah.
Shawn is the system. She's been doing it for so long.
Yeah, it sounds very weird, but I've worked with a publicist for so long, and I worked within that industry for so long before cancel culture started that I learned so inherently, over time, like what you can and cannot say and what's too far and what's within the boundaries. And so every once in a while, if there's like a line, I feel like it gets brought to my table and I'm like, it's fine, or absolutely, we don't go there. So
yeah, Shawn's the line of last defense. We would probably have 10 times the following if it was up to me. Yeah. But it'd probably be way more messy.
Yeah.
There's things that are like, I think culturally no-goes, and that's like when culture cancels somebody. There's things that are like ethically no-goes, and then I think like stylistically no-goes too.
It also depends on your brand.
Yeah.
So like our brand has very clear things that we can't take part in ever. Like we don't touch politics because we're family. Family shouldn't like be separated by that. We also, you can't touch car seats. Don't touch car seats. Don't show them. Don't talk about them. Don't even act like you know what they are.
Strong feelings on car seats.
It's just like you learn what you can and cannot talk about. And so, but yeah, it's scary, but it's also kind of toxic for how easily people get canceled for mistakes, opinions, and being human.
How do you deal with disagreements in parenting? So, like, for example, a minor one, my husband likes to amp up our kids before we go to bed. Playtime, they get in that.
What's wrong with that?
I like this guy. I like him.
It could be more anxiety-inducing of a moment, right? So, like, we're trying to get her to brush some teeth and all of that. So.
It doesn't sound familiar.
I'm the one doing the amping. I'm curious what you have to say.
How do we handle parental disagreements about raising our kids? I don't know. How do we work through this?
Well, I'm glad you brought this up, because usually Shawn gets her way, and I've been thinking about it for a long time. I think there is this is kind of what we try to just make people feel like they're not the only ones going through that. And it's like, that's a age-old problem, you know. And mother-in-law and Shawn and her mom are gonna argue, and they're not the first ones to ever do that. And there's something like relieving when you realize, hey, this is kind of just the way it is. And I don't know. You've been patient with me, and you've told me not to amp up the kids, but I still do, and we have a blast. And
I've let go of it.
yeah, kind of.
Okay. Conversations.
The only thing I would add there is advice that my mom gave me early on is to never fight in front of your kids and to never have that disagreement. And I think I do this all the time. Liz gets so upset. I play Monster right before they go to bed. She's like, come on. They were just so calm. We're trying to read a nice bedtime story. And I'm like, rah! Yeah. We just try not to disagree in front of them. And then I get scolded. And I'm like, I'm gonna be better on how to do it. But we do it again.
Hi, thank you all so much for being here. You guys kind of seem to have it all. The great marriage, the beautiful family, the successful career, and people say it takes a village. Can you speak to what role, if any, a village has played in your success?
We don't have it all, but I would say we have enough, and I think we have a lot of what we want to have. We spend a lot of time building the village.
We have a very large village, and we're very, very blessed. Within our business, we have a bunch of people who help give us freedom to be parents. We have editors, producers, lawyers, managers, all of them. At home, my parents, I am an only child, moved to Nashville when we had our first kid. They live 2 minutes from us, and they are at our house every single day. And we're also very lucky to have a nanny who is our family, and she is attached to us, and she helps with running the kids everywhere. But we truly have a village, and I don't take that for granted. I know it's a giant luxury for us to be able to have that much help around us. And then Andrew's family is 4 hours away, and we see them a lot. And we have worked really, really hard to build a very close community of friends who all have kids the same age. And we're having dinner at least once a week with them and their kids. And we have our church community. And we've worked really hard to build an entire village of people around us to help make sure this is still going. Counselors, therapists. Marriage therapist.
This applies more to the business and the personal. There's a book called Who Not How by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy, which is fantastic. And it's I think we naturally like to control things. It's let's do it our way. Let's edit this video our way. Let's raise the kids our way. And I think part of the beautiful derivative of having a village is you get other perspectives and other talents introduced. And so we've tried to the best of our ability, just release that control a little bit and work specifically. If someone can do a task 80% as well as we can, we'll try to dish that off. And just it takes a lot of trust and patience. Usually when we work with someone new, it takes 3 months to get them onboarded. But yeah, it's fun to have this many people around. Usually. Content pressure, you said?
Yeah.
Content pressure. We use social media cautiously, and we actually I was just saying, we walked into Instagram headquarters, and the first thing they said was, you should create on this platform more than you consume on this platform. So I think there are times when we feel at the bottom of the barrel creatively. This is where having other people, we have producers for podcasts who will come up with concepts, and they'll help us in that process, and we can say, it's a great idea, this is not a good idea, we don't want to do this one. But usually we try to create things out of fulfillment and excitement. And then I think a lot of the burnout happens when people feel like they're just handcuffed to the whole process. It's you got to publish YouTube videos. And we went through one chapter of that where we were we got nothing else. And that was 3 months of pause that we took. But between that and when you read comments and you get caught up in all that stuff, we really don't read that many comments. We have a community manager who helps us do that stuff. And that's by design. It's we love to celebrate the wins and get the emails from people that said we've positively impacted them. And that gives us the creative juice to keep them going. So we try to focus on that out of abundance rather than oh shoot, we're handcuffed to this thing,
And then I would also add, keeping up with that, the content pressure of creating content, enough of it to play into the algorithms and relevancy. We have found a cadence that we agree with, and we as a full team will sit down and say, in this phase of life, whether it's holidays or we're having a kid or we're getting busy because we're going to travel for a while, we'll kind of reset those cadences. But whatever we agree on as a company, we then schedule out. So like on Tuesday, we will shoot all Instagram content for the next 2 weeks. And then on Wednesday, we'll shoot 2 or 3 podcasts. And then on Thursday, we'll shoot. So like we try to like bundle things up so that it doesn't feel like all you're doing every single day is like shoot a reel, shoot a TikTok, shoot a YouTube, like all these things. We try to like batch them so that by the time we come back around to filming Instagram or podcasts, we have more creativity because it's been 3 weeks since we last filmed that, and we have all these ideas, and you don't get as burnout.
We're about 6 months planned out on each platform with ideas and concepts and all that stuff, which makes
we have not always been that way,
Yeah.
but we have worked really hard to do that.
Pero yeah, a little bit more about your little daily habits that help you with your.
We each work out almost every day, never together, which is funny. We always have to work out independently. I would say coffee, reading. What else?
Usually we'll connect with a friend, whether it be part of your book club group or elsewhere.
Yeah. Hang out with the kids, cook dinner.
Yeah. We've loosened more of like the I need this mentality to be, and because there's just some days where it's like, all right, our kid was up till 2 a.m. and I got 2 hours of sleep, and I would love to work out, but I'm not going to. And as opposed to like saying this is going to ruin my day, it's just like, all right, let's just roll with the punches. But I think the best day would be something fitness, just to clear our mind in that way. We connect best when we have an idea or like something we've read that's fun to philosophize over, connecting with friends, and then trying to create something valuable through work.
All right. Before we wrap up, I always have a final question. And since you're a couple, I'm going to do 2 and you get to choose one, then you're going to respond to. So when you think about yourself, right, your business, family made, your life, what keeps you up at night? And it could be in this crazy world and just, living as a couple and working together. And then the other question is, if you had unlimited funds, what would you do? Not the boxes. What would you invest it in? Like, what would you launch? So you only get to choose one each. And it can't be the same question.
Okay. My first answer would be what keeps you up at night. And I would say, as a mother of 3, my kids, and giving them every opportunity to succeed in life specific to them. Just, am I doing enough for them? Am I around enough? Am I fostering their interests individually enough? Am I being the best mother for each of my children as I can be?
I get an unlimited investment amount. Okay. What would I spend unlimited money on? Donating to Vanderbilt.
We are opening up a campus in West Palm Beach.
In New York City? What is happening?
Let's go.
I don't know.
You could stop.
I actually... I don't know. I mean, unlimited money. I think it'd be honestly in like an entrepreneurship program. That's not Vanderbilt specific, but like, I think when I look at the effect that businesses had on me, if I could inspire other people through that, and like, it's amazing, beautiful process of, hey, you can create, which I think we're all made to create, and you can do something of value and like add, like change people's lives. And then you could like also take care of your family doing so. That's really exciting. So whatever that would look like. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you both. Thanks everyone for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.